Hi, your friendly local constitutional crackpot is at it again. This is Bill Henshaw here, Constitutional Crisis Channel, and I want to update you on an issue I've been studying a lot of late, which is the subpoena power of the court, whether it's a traffic court, criminal court, tax court, you name it. There's some very important issues that have come to my attention, and I think we can beat the bastards over the head with this one, especially when the local dumbass does not answer our bill of particulars or any other document that we file. Now, the BOP, and that's clearly and unambiguously rights secured by even their version of the Constitution, let alone the real one that we used from 1787, entitles us to know the nature and cause of the accusation. That's another way to say jurisdiction and venue. The identity of the elements of the crimes charged, and they can never disclose those because then they have to let you know, for example, if you're a quote unquote person, they're treating you as a corporation. That's a real problem. They have to identify the quote unquote injured party, which is a hell of a hard thing to do in a traffic case and or in a tax court. And other issues come up that they're required, especially if you demand them, they're required to let you know. And if they don't do that, there's no way in the world you can put a defense on. You got to say, well, what the hell? Why do we even bother to have a trial here? And from my own personal perspective, I think the heirs of Uncle Joe Stalin would have a hell of a patent violation case there for the show trials he initiated back in the 1930s. That's how bad this stuff is. But the subpoena power under these circumstances, and with the DA having defaulted as they always do, now you put in subpoenas and guess where they go? We don't send them to the dumbass. They go in California to the head of the D&B, George Valverde at the moment, and Moonbeam up there in Sacramento. And we're going to be asking some really tough questions, especially with the governor, or the territorial governor, because he has the constitutionally mandated duty to see that the laws are faithfully executed. He's the one, without any question about it, that has the authority and the job to tell his subordinates that you don't go out there and enforce corporate laws against people who are not corporations. Why isn't this happening? It's a hell of a good question. But there's the fountain from which all of it comes. Now, I may end up serving the Chief Justice here, who's Tane Cantil Sequoia in the California Supreme Court. You may end up doing the same thing in yours. So that's the three key players. And we're going to have a lot of questions to ask about what's going on here and why these courts without jurisdiction are continuing to proceed against us. And it gets even better because with all these people I've mentioned, we not only ask that, we give them what's called a subpoena ducis tecum, which requires them to bring documents into court to show how they made or did not make any decisions on the issues we're raising. Like, for example, are we a quote-unquote person, driver, taxpayer, what have you. And the grand finale to all this is we then demand that they bring in officially notarized documents that prove that they were appointed to the position they hold in the territorial government by the president pursuant to the Appointments Clause, Article 2, Section 2, Paragraph 2. And the documents in my document package, you'll get information at the end of this video, absolutely established that California is not a state admitted into this union. It was on September the 9th, 1850, but it isn't one now, and the story behind that and the fact that there are no such states remaining, and we only had 36, I believe, to start out with. The rest of them admitted after 1859 were never admitted into this union. A story for another day. But you start asking questions like this, and you get subpoenas filed. Now the only recourse I'm aware of that these bastards can do is try to file a motion to quash the subpoena. If they do that and have standing to do it, and then I'm going to be challenging that too. I don't even think they have standing. If they do, and if we somehow lose a motion like that, that puts us on the express train to the 9:00 farts in Washington, D.C. to find out why these subpoenas are being denied. I mean, they're going to tell us that we can't put on any defense whatsoever, and we just have to shell out the money they're going to charge us no matter how much the fine is, or they're going to sentence us to 6 months or more in jail without the court having any jurisdiction. I don't even think Ruth Bader Ginsburg would buy that one. I mean, that's how strong this is. So this subpoena stuff, you'll be hearing more about me in the future about this as I get some cases where we put them in and see what happens. And I'll have more information probably the next time on these videos. And in my next talk show, which is coming up May 24th, and I expect to have another appearance in July. I'll keep you up to date on that too. I'll be discussing this. And with talk show, it's 3 hours, just me going on for 3 hours off the top of my head with long question and answer sessions. So look forward to these. They're really fun to do, and I encourage questions, comments, suggestions, and I know there'll be a lot of them. So that's okay. That's exactly what I want you to do. The more you learn, the better you're going to get. You teach your kids, and we put these bastards out of business. Continuing with subpoenas, a key point that I neglected to mention about this is what we're really doing here is trying to nail down the identity of our accuser, who is not the traffic cop, who is not the revenue agent. They're just actors, they're subordinate actors, don't have a thing to do with it. We want to know who our accuser is because we have the right to confrontation and cross-examination. And that's how we lay the subpoena and the subpoena deuce tech on them, get them into court, hopefully in front of an inflamed jury, and you get me cross-examining them. Trust me, it ain't going to be pretty. So that's the key right that we have that's involved here. And by the way, I do, to digress a moment, yes, that does come under the quote-unquote Bill of Rights. I get that. But the way I do it is I say, okay, it's going to be the unpurviewed Fifth and or Sixth Amendment, in addition to the Ninth Article of Amendment, which isn't purviewed. That's the one that secures rights not mentioned in the Constitution to you and me, we the people. We have those rights. And when I say purviewed, I mean we're not using the one coming out of the 14th War Amendment, since the Bill of Rights doesn't apply to the states. We're using the one that applies to the federal government, because we're not a territory. It's where it applies. It's just so beautiful. I can't stand it. I can't wait to try this and see what the hell happens. It's bad enough for them as it is with me. Trust me. They can tell you in Columbia, South Carolina. Anyway, that said, I'll have more on this as soon as we have news to report. Thank you.